Yeah, the video stopped, but I'm putting it back on since we're at the end of presents or presents. You know what I'm saying? In the Book of Strongs and Concordance, we're gonna go ahead and just finish it through with the rest of the readings and teachings. And I only got what, one, two, three more books to go: the I Ching, Women Leadership, Saving the World, and the Angel book. But that book's talking about Omni, and that's Omni right there. So basically, you know what I'm saying, is Omnipotent presents omnipresence. So that's Omni. Yup. That's all God's work right there. That was just pretty much going off of the karma from Providence. So either way, whatever. Now Providence was one, and this is number two. But that's just Omni, doing what you do. Anyways, back to what I do. So just continue to fulfill omnipresence, right? Fulfilling omnipresence. That's what we're doing.
Can you give me a
Yes.
drink?
Give you a drink?
Yeah.
How's it going here? Great.
Please give me.
What kind of drink you want?
Wow.
What kind of drink you want?
I want pepper. Pepper.
Pepper? Here you go.
Can I play with it? When I started acting, I was always
Hey, close the door or go in your room, one or the other.
shy. I doubted everything I ever did. I held myself back because I didn't think I was good enough.
I'll call y'all when I'm done, right? It should be within about another 30 minutes.
Nothing special, just a little role, but it gave me confidence. And everything I was in, my role was bigger. So
Back, finish that so we can reflect on anything.
my confidence grew
Here
until it
goes the
wasn't
rest of this
like
right here. We'll go ahead and go
sure
to
hope that I walked the breakthrough.
women saving the world within their leadership. And that's the woman right there that wrote this book. Many of y'all know her till I said hello. And yeah, we got that. We definitely got that. I'm talking about, like, you know what I'm saying, KKK, Aryan Brotherhood, you know what I'm saying, all white folk, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, we got that too. They could be in there too with All Lives Matter. That's the only thing I noticed about this book that I want to reflect on was when she saying All Lives Matter is not really, yeah, it is, because even the ones that hate could still be there because they still matter. If you really look at life itself for what it is, you know what I'm saying, when all lives matter, don't matter if you're a hater. Your life can still matter. It's just you're the one that thinks that life don't matter. You know what I'm saying, when you're the hater. Women are tired from pulling the double and triple shifts, from living in unprecedented times of global pandemic, and from ongoing conflict and war. Maybe we're feeling beyond shattered about the state of the world. Damn, I get that. But I keep coming back to that major wake up call of looking at the world around me and thinking, well, this place needs some work. I agree. I think this place needs some work too. I was so busy as a younger working mom that I didn't really have the time or energy to truly lift my head up for some time. But as my son becomes older, that balance changes and I start to think more about the world he is growing up into. I sometimes hear people in my own age group and older say things like the youth will inherit this world, so it's up to them to change it. And I think, oh, hell no. Leaving the mess we and former generations created for our children to deal with, that's the most irresponsible thing I've ever heard of, where the group of people who currently hold the most power and money and resources and influences and access and everything, but we're just going to abdicate all responsibility to the young people. Don't get me wrong, I actually believe we need more young people running this place. Absolutely, we do. They need to be empowered, funded, supported, and resourced to do so. Right now, that's not the case. There's the argument that somehow they don't understand the real world, so they're not equipped to make good decisions. I call bullshit on that. Exactly whose real world are we talking about? Because those who shape the world get to tell the story of what the real world is like, and frankly, I don't agree. Every time we have an election, they hold a mock election at my son's school, and every time the young people vote in Green Party, and yet they live in province where the Green Party go one out of 124 seats in the legislature, In 2022, I would love to see what would happen if those young people were running this place. The conversations on climate crisis alone will be completely different. All of this converged into a bit of mantra for me. It went like this: I will be damned if I don't at least try to leave this place better than I found it. If I've worked all these years and been fortunate enough to gain some resources, to gain a voice, gain the safety and privilege to use that voice, to live a life relatively free of oppression and violence, how could I squander that by doing nothing with it, buying more stuff, a bigger house, excuse me? But no way, that is a waste of resources. Addressing some of these crisis levels issues today, instead of leaving them for future generations, I will take people who have resources choosing to use them for change rather than holding on to them for our own continued security and gains. Keeping all our resources for ourselves as being part of the problem, not part of the solution. We could make the road to change and equity so much smoother for those who come with us and after us by using our relative securities, resources, and voices to push hard for systemic change today. Maybe this is a wake up call for you too. Maybe you bought into the story that your job is done and now you can relax and spend your days being a good consumer and doing what you like because you worked hard all your life, which you probably have. But the bad news is you're not done. Absolutely not. This is the perfect time to become an activist, by which I simply mean taking action for the improvements you wish to see in the world. It is absolutely on us to do this work, to clear path for the others to step into, to make the road less steep for those coming with and coming next. The feeling of overwhelm and powerlessness that we feel in the face of these big systemic problems is very real. We ask ourselves, how can I possibly make a difference against this huge machine, these systems, these institutions, and yet one person at a time getting into action is really a groundswell for all social change. The bottom line is that it's not up to someone else, and if we wait for someone else to do it, it won't get done. It's up to each one of us. And yes, it's hard, and we're exactly the people who may have been discouraged and disempowered and told not to make waves, and yet it will take each one of us to connect to what we value and what we want for the world and then activate accordingly. The starting point is to trust what you know. If you look at the world and you know something is not right, you feel it in your bones. We feel that something is not right and we are disturbed. That's your clue. It is the place to investigate because it's pointing at something you care about. And that is where the motivation to use your voice, our resources, our passion for change comes from. It starts inside as knowing becomes a trusting of what we know and then blooms into action. Sometimes feeling like it becomes actions we can't not take or things we can't leave unsaid. Tarana Burke started the Me Too movement. In 2006, it wasn't until 2007 when it got picked up by a woman in Hollywood with exceptional influencer status that it blew up and became the hashtag that we all know today. In the prologue of her book, Unbound, My Story of Liberation and the Birth of the Me Too movement, she writes, back in 2005, when I started working on the Me Too, it was so difficult to get people on board, including those who claim to be in the service of our community, activists, organizers, youth workers, social justice warriors, and the like would agree that it was necessary to work a congratulated me for taking it on, congratulating me for taking it on, but they still wouldn't do much to support or further our efforts. What motivated me to continue were the little black and brown girls who trusted us with their secrets, their pain, their shame, their worries, their anger, their fears, and their hopes. And that's it right there. Tarana Burke made the decision to do the work, to take her talent, resources, voice, leadership skills, and abilities and try to make something better. She saw the need clearly. She knew it, and she chose not to look away or walk away. She didn't do it expecting that it would become what it did. Rather, she did it because she looked at the world and saw a place where it needed fixing. And she chose to set aside all doubts that I'm sure she had, just like we all do, and get to work on it and perfectly with commitment and knowing that she would not get fully supported by those around her, that there might be some very lonely times. She believed in her ability to make a difference, even if that difference was on a small scale, person by person, girl by girl. It didn't stay small. We know that now, but we have to be willing to go in and trust ourselves and trust that the choice to make a difference, regardless of scale, is a worthy pursuit, and we are worthy of choosing it. In fact, we are built for it. Tarana also says in the prologue, believe me, the rest of the book is great too, but right from the prologue, she gets down to it. The courage that trickled out of a young black girl in the Bronx and now from millions of others formed the massive ocean that is this movement has become. The essence of Me Too is found deep in the marrow of this lifelong story. There is no here without where I was, stuck and scared and ashamed, a place I remained until the need to care for someone else's shame saved me too. Many of us are busy surviving and managing all the demands of our day-to-day lives that we don't even know what we value or want to change. We get too busy to go inside and reflect, ask the deeper questions, and understand the core of what we value and what for ourselves, our children, and the world. It's one of the main things we work on in the Women's Leadership Intensive, asking ourselves the hard questions, the deep questions, the ones we're not even sure we want to know the answers to, because then what? We all need times of reflection and realization, like I had as I was coming up on 50. We need to reflect on what matters most to us in this world and move into a place of action, because there is no they will do it. There is only we. We all have a purpose that we want to fulfill. The word purpose can be intimidating, but I think a purpose is simply that place where meaning meets action, where what matters to us turns into a commitment and we start aligning our actions to our deepest values. Where is that place for you? That's what we'll explore in the future. Women's leadership. I hope y'all women are boss in it. Let's go to the Oracle. And then the Angel book. I love my angels. You know, my angels, you know what I'm saying, told me that because of my, anyway, we'll talk about that later. Let's go to the grave, because the grave's like the nitty gritty, homie. Foxes represent the afterlife, magic and witchcraft, cunning and sophistication, and they embody the trickster. They are both uncommonly benevolent and uncommonly evil. Offend them, and surely you will perceive them as demonic. Respect them, and they are fiercely loyal allies. Under Confucianism, foxes serve an important role in ancestor veneration as guardians and protectors of our departed. Attaining a yellow arrow is a metaphor for walking the straight center path of Yi. The path of Yi is righteousness, upholding justice, sincere concern for the public good, and putting public good above self-interest. Moreover, hunting is a metaphor for military expeditions. Altogether, the second line prognosticates success in exerting and maintaining your political or social power. Catching 3 foxes in the field means to prevent malfeasance before it becomes a problem. The omen of the fox spirit also means that your ancestors are close by and watching. Where there are many foxes, there is also much spirit activity. Having Hau fox in one line and earn receive in the next suggests that the foxes are received by you, perhaps implying that they allowed you to get close. To prevent a regrettable outcome, endeavor for corrective measures before proceeding. Adjust your perspectives, otherwise there will be a remorse. The narrative told by the third line is that of a porter. While most porters travel by foot, here is one who has become quite well-to-do and thus reaches just a little beyond his means to travel by wagon, as one of the wealthier merchants would do. Here is one displaying wealth in a manner that will attract envy and thievery. Also, the line suggests one whose head is in the clouds and is shrinking responsibility in the matter at hand. Do not take shortcuts. Under no circumstances should you take the easy way out, or else you will lose all you have gained up to this point. An adjustment of perspective is in order. Be more frugal and appear more modest. Kui here also carries a connotation of your male ancestors, or a stone altar for offering to your ancestors. The brimstone. Thus, the subtext reminds you to venerate your male ancestors. This evening, burning incense in a place of choice dried meats as an offering for them. In the morning, burn another stick of incense as an offering. Pray for the message from them and then perform another I Ching divination. That subsequent divination will be a direct message from your ancestors. Severe ties from toxic associates, then trustworthy friends will come. Sever ties from toxic associates, then trustworthy friends will come. The implication of hemlock in the fourth line is to represent poisonous influences. Since the hemlock has not been ingested and is merely tangled with the toe, no harm sustained, but free yourselves of the influence quickly before the risk becomes an actual threat. The fourth line can suggest interpersonal challenges with colleagues. Your endeavor serves many, success and gains prognosticated for the matter at hand. The fifth narrates a story of village in distress. The sage comes and solves the problem. The villagers are grateful and pledge their faith and loyalty in the sage. Winning the villagers' support will bring the sage a great advantage in the future matter. An alternative perspective on the fifth line is to interpret as the unprincipled, the anti-hero, or your adversary. From this perspective, you are being called to help someone you dislike. Win the trust and loyalty of one you dislike. By doing so, you pave your own path to success gains in the future. Eliminating a potential threat before it becomes a threat, quashing internal strife. The sixth line is a release of tension within, and antiquity of the sixth line was interpreted of swiftly penalizing civil disobedience. In a contemporary reading, this is the dealing with the inner naysayer. The falcon is a bird of prey, symbolizing raptors that are trying to intimidate you from action. The importance of quick timing is also implied in the sixth line. You must act quickly. Do not procrastinate, delay, or hesitate. Deal with the problem as soon as it is detected. Do not let it fester, and do not let it breach the fortress wall. Ooh-wee! This is the book of Chi. That's why I tell you, I stay away from the book of Chi, because the book of Chi will tell you there is no good or bad up in this. There just is. Hey, that's the universe stuff and how it handles things. But it's our all loving God and power, right? So word is on word. Y'all heard. Basically, if y'all want to stay stuck and have Satan rule for the rest of your lives and shit, you kill me. Let me do what I gotta do within 5 years. Y'all supposed to follow anyway you reject it. You know what I'm saying? Yup. This is supposed to happen so Jesus can come through. But you eliminate me and then you know when Jesus coming through. I don't know what's gonna happen after that though. How that's gonna be handled. You know what I'm saying? So the book gave y'all the answer. Eliminate now before it becomes an issue. If you're trying to whatever you're doing with it. Expectations, an angel reminder. Don't expect anything from an ass but a kid. Ooh, old Irish saying. The wisdom of the old Irish. Oh, I hit this one yesterday. Wait a minute, we can't hit the same one again. Let's go to this one right here. Boom, faith. An angel reminder. Faith is the state of being ultimately concerned and the acceptance of the promise of ultimate fulfillment. Paul Tillich. Many of us don't understand what faith is, confusing it with belief or with rigid adherence to religious doctrine. But faith goes far beyond concept or definition. It is an experience, a calling. In fact, that takes us out of the realm of intellect and into the realm of inner knowing. When theologian and philosopher Paul Tillich speaks of faith as ultimate concern, he is talking about the thing that is of all-consuming value to human being, the object of his or her spiritual passion, the thing that produces the centered movement of the whole personality to something of ultimate meaning and significance. Whatever we have faith in, we put our energy and commitment into. If you have faith that you will lose weight, you will direct your energy toward that goal, knowing that you will meet it. If the angels and living an angelic life are your ultimate concern, you will direct your energy toward that purpose, not fearing disillusionment, but expecting fulfillment. What are your ultimate concerns, and what areas would you like your faith to be strong? Clarify your desires and what you want out of life, then use your imagination to visualize the fulfillment of these desires and practice the art of effortless knowing, asking the angels to help you cast out doubts and worries and keep you filled with clarity, positive energy, and commitment. In angelic reflection, I have faith in divine love and wisdom, and I trust the angels to connect me to it. Enjoyment would be the next one on that one. Enjoyment of life is the ultimate gratitude to God. The capacity for enjoyment is natural to us, but how often is our potential for enjoyment mirrored by the negative voice of guilt? We should be working, should be worrying, should be exercising. After we get shoulds out of the way, then we can enjoy ourselves. This attitude amuses the angels, who knows, of course, that as long as we subscribe to the theory of the shoulds, we will never eliminate them from our lives. Enjoyment is not a reward for shoulds accomplishment. It is a necessary activity that, when regularly engaged, maintains our connection to divine love. The angels suggest that we take the time each day to practice enjoyment until it becomes a natural part of our lives and our interactions with others. Who knows, that may turn out to be our greatest contribution to humanity. To keep yourself emotionally and spiritually fit, set aside some time each day for an enjoyment workout. Instead of getting all of the shoulds out of the way, do something you enjoy first and refuse to feel guilty about it. Note how your attitude about life begins to change. An angelic reflection, as I make enjoyment a priority of my life, becomes even more balanced and productive.
And make sure no one else disturbs me.
Like that. Contentment. Ooh, contentment's the next one.
Being a little paranoid, aren't we? You cannot be too careful. Are you sure about this? Yeah.
Right.
Are you?
Contentment. I like this one. I'm just going to read it for today. Contentment. An angel reminder, things can always be worse. The angels define contentment as follows. A man loses his paycheck and says, thank God I still have a job. He loses his job and says, thank God for my home, which is paid for. He loses his home and says, thank God for my wonderful wife. He loses his wife and says, thank God for the time we had together. He loses a leg and says, thank God I still have one leg. He loses the other leg and says, thank God I am still alive. He dies in his sleep and says, thank God I died in my peace. That is contentment. What are some of the things you are contented about in your life? What are some of the blessings you haven't noticed? Notice what happens when you start taking some time each day to simply be contented. And a judge reflection, I know that while I strive for greater joy, I can still be happy with what I already have. Man, that's the last book right there. That's the last of my readings and teachings and preachings. I don't know. This is how I live. This is what I've always lived. This is what I always will choose to live. You know, some of y'all got other reasons to do what you do or put yourself in place before, but I'm saying though, I gotta do that. Why do I gotta do that? Because without my existence, without God's existence, I wouldn't exist. None of this would exist. Meaning that no existence, no wife, no air, no water, no food. So what I do, I put God first and I love God for that. Even if I get pain, even if someone chops my head off, let's just say someone skins me alive and I'm left with nothing but nastiness over me. I still got to thank God for even being able to feel that pain and having that, set of like mindset of, damn, at least I was able to experience something most don't. Even though that's the worst you could be thinking, but the simple fact is I was able to experience it. It means that I existed. And my existence is all I need to know that what? God did his job by what? Putting me alive and keeping me alive. And I hope y'all strive for that too. Keep life as life and God first. Nothing else, because without it, you wouldn't have God. You understand what I'm saying? Without God, you wouldn't have this. Peace.